The Catholic Church in the United States is part of the worldwide Catholic Church, with 69.5 million members. It is the largest religious body in the United States, comprising 22% of the population as of 2015. The United States has the fourth largest Catholic population in the world, after Brazil, Mexico and the Philippines, the largest Catholic minority population, and the largest English-speaking Catholic population. Catholicism arrived in what is now the United States in the earliest days of the European colonization of the Americas. The first Catholics were Spanish missionaries who came with Christopher Columbus to the New World on his second voyage in 1493. In the 16th and 17th centuries, they established missions in what are now Florida, Georgia, New Mexico, Puerto Rico, Texas and later in California. French colonization in the early 18th century saw missions established in Louisiana, St. Louis, New Orleans, Biloxi, Mobile, the Alabamas, Natchez, Yazoo, Natchitoches, Arkansas, Illinois, and Michigan. In 1789, the Archdiocese of Baltimore was the first diocese established in the United States, and John Carroll, whose brother Daniel was one of 5 men to sign both the Articles of Confederation and the United States Constitution, was the first American bishop. John McCloskey was the first American cardinal in 1875. The number of Catholics grew from the early 19th century through immigration and the acquisition of the predominantly Catholic former possessions of France, Spain, and Mexico, followed in the mid-19th century by a rapid influx of Irish, German, Italian and Polish immigrants from Europe, making Catholicism the largest Christian denomination in the United States. This increase was met by widespread prejudice and hostility, often resulting in riots and the burning of churches, convents, and seminaries. The Know-Nothings, an anti-Catholic nativist movement, was founded in the mid-19th century in an attempt to restrict Catholic immigration and was later followed by the Order of United American Mechanics, the Ku Klux Klan, the American Protective Association, and the Junior Order of United American Mechanics. The integration of Catholics into American society was marked by the election of John F. Kennedy as president in 1960. Since then, the percentage of Americans who are Catholic has fallen slowly from about 25% to 22%, with increases in Hispanics, especially Mexican Americans, who have balanced losses of self-identifying Catholics among other ethnic groups. As of 2015, Catholics serve as Vice President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chief Justice, Justices of the Supreme Court, and a plurality of senators, representatives, and governors. Organization. Catholics gather as local communities called parishes, headed by a priest, and typically meet at a permanent church building for liturgies every Sunday, weekdays and on holy days. Within the 195 geographical dioceses and archdioceses, there are 17,900 local Catholic parishes in the United States. The Catholic Church has the third highest total number of local congregations in the U.S. behind Southern Baptists and United Methodists. However, the average Catholic parish is significantly larger than the average Baptist or Methodist congregation. There are more than 4 times as many Catholics as Southern Baptists and more than 8 times as many Catholics as United Methodists. In the United States, there are 195 dioceses, archdioceses, 1 apostolic exarchate, and 1 personal ordinariate, 145 Latin Catholic dioceses, 33 Latin Catholic archdioceses, 15 Eastern Catholic dioceses, 2 Eastern Catholic archdioceses, 1 apostolic exarchate, 1. Personal Ordinariate. Eastern Catholic Churches are churches with origins in Eastern Europe, Asia and Africa that have their own distinctive liturgical, legal and organizational systems and are identified by the national or ethnic character of the region of origin. Each is considered fully equal to the Latin tradition within the Church. In the United States, there are 15 Eastern Church dioceses and 2 Eastern Church archdioceses: the Byzantine Catholic Archieparchy of Pittsburgh and the Ukrainian Catholic Archieparchy of Philadelphia. The Apostolic Exarchate for the Syro-Malankara Catholic Church in the United States is headed by a bishop who is a member of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. An apostolic exarchate is the Eastern Catholic Church equivalent of an apostolic vicariate. It is not a full-fledged diocese eparchy, but is established by the Holy See for the pastoral care of Eastern Catholics in an area outside the territory of the Eastern Catholic Church to which they belong. It is headed by a bishop or a priest with the title of exarch. The personal ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter was established January 1, 2012, to serve former Anglican groups and clergy in the United States who sought to become Catholic. Similar to a diocese though national in scope, the ordinariate is based in Houston, Texas and includes parishes and communities across the United States that are fully Catholic, while retaining elements of their Anglican heritage and traditions. As of 2014, 6 dioceses out of 195 are vacant. Another 7 bishops, including 3 archbishops and 1 cardinal, are past the retirement age of 75. The central leadership body of the Catholic Church in the United States is the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, made up of the hierarchy of bishops of the United States and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Although each bishop is independent in his own diocese, answerable only to the Holy See, the USCCB elects a president to serve as their administrative head, but he is in no way the head of the Church or of Catholics in the United States. In addition to the 195 dioceses and 1 exarchate represented in the USCCB, there are several dioceses in the nation's other 4 overseas dependencies. In the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the bishops in the 6 dioceses form their own episcopal conference, the Conferencia Episcopal Puertorriqueña. The bishops in U.S. insular areas in the Pacific Ocean, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the Territory of American Samoa, and the Territory of Guam, are members of the Episcopal Conference of the Pacific. No primate exists for Catholics in the United States. In the 1850s, the Archdiocese of Baltimore was acknowledged a prerogative of place, which confers to its archbishops some of the leadership responsibilities granted to primates in other countries. The Archdiocese of Baltimore was the first diocese established in the United States in 1789, with John Carroll as its first bishop. It was, for many years, the most influential diocese in the fledgling nation. Now, however, the United States has several large archdioceses and a number of cardinal archbishops. By far, most Catholics in the United States belong to the Latin Church and the Roman Rite of the Catholic Church. Rite generally refers to the form of worship in a church community owing to cultural and historical differences as well as differences in practice. However, the Vatican II document, Orientalium Ecclesiarum, acknowledges that these Eastern Catholic communities are true churches, and not just rites within the Catholic Church. There are 14 other churches in the United States which are in communion with Rome, fully recognized and valid in the eyes of the Catholic Church. They have their own bishops and eparchies. The largest of these communities in the U.S. is the Chaldean Catholic Church. Most of these churches are of Eastern European and Middle Eastern origin. Eastern Catholic churches are distinguished from Eastern Orthodox, identifiable by the usage of the term Catholic. Clergy, lay ministers and employees. There are 15 U.S. cardinals. 4 cardinals currently lead U.S. archdioceses: Daniel DiNardo, Galveston, Houston; Timothy M. Dolan, New York; Sean Patrick O'Malley, Boston; Donald Wool, Washington, D.C. 3 cardinals are not currently diocesan bishops: Raymond Leo Burke, patron of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta; James Michael Harvey, Archpriest of the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls; Edwin Frederick O'Brien, Grand Master of the Equestrian Order of the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem. 8 cardinals are retired: William Henry Keeler, Archbishop Emeritus of Baltimore; Bernard Francis Law, Archpriest Emeritus of Basilica of St. Mary Major, Roman Archbishop Emeritus of Boston; William Levada, Prefect Emeritus, Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith and Archbishop Emeritus of San Francisco; Roger Mahoney, Archbishop Emeritus of Los Angeles; Adam Maeder, Archbishop Emeritus of Detroit; Theodore Edgar McCary, Archbishop Emeritus of Washington, D.C.; Justin Francis Regali, Archbishop Emeritus of Philadelphia; James Stafford, Major Penitentiary Emeritus of the Apostolic Penitentiary and Archbishop Emeritus of Denver. There are 454 active and retired Catholic bishops in the United States, 270 active bishops, 4 cardinal archbishops, 28 archbishops, 155 diocesan bishops, 74 auxiliary bishops, 6 apostolic diocesan administrators, 184 retired bishops, 9 retired cardinal archbishops, 21 retired archbishops, 105 retired diocesan bishops, 47 retired auxiliary bishops. In 2014, the Church has 38,275 diocesan and religious order priests in the United States, over 30,000 lay ministers, 17,460 for men who are ordained as permanent deacons in the United States, 49,883 sisters, 4,318 brothers, 16 U.S. cardinals, 424 active and retired U.S. bishops, and 3,631 seminarians enrolled in the United States. Overall, it employs more than 1 million employees with an operating budget of nearly $100 billion to run parishes, diocesan primary and secondary schools, nursing homes, retreat centers, diocesan hospitals, and other charitable institutions. Catholic schools educate 2.7 million students in the United States, employing 150,000 teachers. Leadership in the Church in the United States falls to its bishops. They are the shepherds of particular cities and the surrounding areas, called dioceses or sees. There is one non-territorial diocese in the United States for Catholics in the armed forces. There are approximately 430 bishops and archbishops who shepherd the nation's 195 dioceses and archdioceses. Each diocese is led by one bishop, known as its ordinary. Some dioceses also have auxiliary bishops who help the ordinary. Some also have a retired bishop still in residence. It is possible for a diocese to be temporarily without a bishop if the ordinary is transferred to a new diocese or dies without a named successor. Dioceses are grouped together geographically into provinces, usually within a state, part of a state, or multiple states together. A province comprises several dioceses which look to one ordinary bishop for guidance and leadership. This lead bishop is their archbishop and his diocese is the archdiocese. The archbishop is called the metropolitan bishop, who oversees his brother suffragan bishops. The subordinate dioceses are likewise called suffragan dioceses. There are currently 33 metropolitan archbishops in the United States. There are 269 active Catholic bishops in the United States, and there are 179 retired Catholic bishops in the United States. Also, according to the USCCB's website, there are 19 U.S. cardinals. Some bishops are created cardinals by the Pope. These are usually conferred upon bishops of influential or significant dioceses, or upon bishops who have distinguished themselves in a particular area of service. As of April 2015, there are 16 American cardinals. Not all reside in the United States or diocesan ordinaries. 4 sitting archbishops of Boston, Galveston, Houston, New York and Washington, D.C. 9 are retired archbishops emeritus of Baltimore, Boston, Denver, Detroit, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. 3 work in Rome with the Roman Curia, and 1 is retired from service in Rome without serving as a diocesan ordinary in the U.S. Approved translations of the Bible. USCCB approved translations. 1991 Present New American Bible, Revised Edition. Books of the New Testament, Albuhouse. Contemporary English Version, New Testament, First Edition, American Bible Society. Contemporary English Version, Book of Psalms, American Bible Society. Contemporary English Version, Book of Proverbs, American Bible Society. The Grail Psalter, IA. Publications. New American Bible, Revised Old Testament. New Revised Standard Version, Catholic Edition, National Council of Churches. The Psalms, Albuhouse. The Psalms, St. Joseph Catholic Edition, Catholic Book Publishing Company. The Psalms, St. Joseph New Catholic Version, Catholic Book Publishing Company. Revised Psalms of the New American Bible, Revised Standard Version, Catholic Edition, National Council of Churches. Revised Standard Version, Second Catholic Edition, National Council of Churches. So You May Believe, a translation of the 4 Gospels, Albuhouse. Today's English Version, Second Edition, American Bible Society. Translation for Early Youth, a translation of the New Testament for Children. Contemporary English Version, American Bible Society. Institutions, seminaries according to the 2010 Official Catholic Directory. As of 2009, there were 189 seminaries with 5,131 students in the United States, 3,319 diocesan seminarians and 1,812 religious seminarians. By the official 2011 statistics, there are 5,247 seminarians in the United States. In addition, the American Catholic bishops oversee the Pontifical North American College for American seminarians and priests studying at one of the pontifical universities in Rome. Universities and colleges. According to the Association of Catholic Colleges and Universities in 2011, there are approximately 230 Roman Catholic universities and colleges in the United States with nearly 1 million students and some 65,000 professors. In 2015, the number of tertiary schools rose to 233, while the number of students fell to 810,201. The National University of the Church, founded by the nation's bishops in 1887, is the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C., the first Catholic institution of higher learning established in the United States was Georgetown University in 1789. Parochial schools. By the middle of the 19th century, the Catholics in larger cities started building their own parochial school system. The main impetus was fear that exposure to Protestant teachers in the public schools and Protestant fellow students would lead to a loss of faith. Protestants reacted by strong opposition to any public funding of parochial schools. The Catholics nevertheless built their elementary schools, parish by parish, using very low-paid sisters as teachers. In the classrooms, the highest priorities were piety, orthodoxy, and strict discipline. Knowledge of the subject matter was a minor concern, and in the late 19th century few of the teachers in parochial schools had gone beyond the 8th grade themselves. The sisters came from numerous denominations, and there was no effort to provide joint teachers' training programs. The bishops were indifferent. Finally, around 1911, led by the Catholic University in Washington, Catholic colleges began summer institutes to train the sisters in pedagogical techniques. Long past World War II, the Catholic schools were noted for inferior plants compared to the public schools and less well-trained teachers. The teachers were selected for religiosity, not teaching skills. The outcome was biased children and a reduced risk of marriage to Protestants. Healthcare system. In 2002, Catholic healthcare systems, overseeing 625 hospitals with a combined revenue of $30 billion, comprised the nation's largest group of non-profit systems. In 2008, the cost of running these hospitals had risen to $84.6 billion, including the $5.7 billion they donate. According to the Catholic Health Association of the United States, 60 healthcare systems, on average, admit 1 in 6 patients nationwide each year. Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities is active as one of the largest voluntary social service networks in the United States. In 2009, it welcomed in New Jersey the 50,000th refugee to come to the United States from Burma. Likewise, the U.S. Bishops' Migration and Refugee Services has resettled 14,846 refugees from Burma since 2006. In 2010, Catholic Charities USA was one of only 4 charities among the top 400 charitable organizations to witness an increase in donations in 2009, according to a survey conducted by the Chronicle of Philanthropy. Catholic Church and Labor. The Church had a role in shaping the U.S. labor movement due to the involvement of priests like Charles Owen Rice and John P. Boland. The activism of Monsignor Gino Baroni was instrumental in creating the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. Demographics. There are 69,470,686 registered Catholics in the United States as of 2015, according to the American Bishops' count in their official Catholic Directory 2014. This count primarily rests on the parish assessment tax, which pastors evaluate yearly according to the number of registered members and contributors. Estimates of the overall American Catholic population from recent years generally range around 20% to 28%. According to Albert J. Menendez, Research Director of Americans for Religious Liberty, many Americans continue to call themselves Catholic but do not register at local parishes for a variety of reasons. According to a survey of 35,556 American residents, 23.9% of Americans identify themselves as Catholic. The study notes that 10% of those people who identify themselves as Protestant in the interview are former Catholics, and 8% of those who identify themselves as Catholic are former Protestants. Nationally, more parishes have opened than closed. The northeastern quadrant of the U.S. has seen a decline in the number of parishes since 1970, but parish numbers are up in the other 5 regions. Catholics in the U.S. are about 6% of the Church's total worldwide 1.2 billion membership. A poll by the Barna Group in 2004 found Catholic ethnicity to be 60% non-Hispanic white, 31% Hispanic of any nationality, 4% black, and 5% other ethnicity. Among the non-Hispanic whites, about 16 million Catholics identify as being of Irish descent, about 13 million as German, about 12 million as Italian, about 7 million as Polish, and about 5 million as French. The roughly 6 million Catholics who converts are also mostly non-Hispanic white, including many people of British, Dutch, and Scandinavian ancestry. Between 1990 and 2008, there were 11 million additional Catholics. The growth in the Latino population accounted for 9 million of these. They comprised 32% of all American Catholics in 2008, as opposed to 20% in 1990. The percentage of Hispanics who identified as Catholic dropped from 67% in 2010 to 55% in 2013, according to a more recent Pew Forum report which examined American religiosity in 2014 and compared it to 2007. There were 50.9 million adult Catholics as of 2014, forming about 20.8% of the U.S. population, down from 54.3 million and 23.9% in 2007. Pew also found that the Catholic population is aging, forming a higher percentage of the elderly population than the young, and retention rates are also worse among the young. About 41% of those raised Catholic have left the faith, about half of these to the unaffiliated population and a quarter to evangelical and other Protestantism. Conversions to Catholicism are rare, with 90% of current Catholics being raised in the religion. 7% of current Catholics are ex-Protestants, 2% were raised unaffiliated, and 1% in other religions, with Jews and Hindus least likely to become Catholic of all the religious groups surveyed. Overall, Catholicism has by far the worst net conversion balance of any major religious group, with a high conversion rate out of the faith and a low rate into it. By contrast, most other religions have in and out conversion rates that roughly balance, whether high or low. By race, 59% of Catholics are non-Hispanic white, 34% Hispanic, 3% black, 3% Asian, and 2% mixed and Native American. Conversely, 19% of non-Hispanic whites are Catholic in 2014, whereas 48% of Hispanics are. In 2015, Hispanics are 38%, while blacks and Asians are still at 3% each. Catholicism by state politics. There has never been a Catholic religious party in the United States, either local, state or national, similar to Christian democratic parties in Europe and Latin America. Since the election of the Catholic John F. Kennedy as president in 1960, Catholics have split about 50-50 between the two major parties. On social issues, the Catholic Church takes strong positions against abortion, which was partly legalized in 1973 by the Supreme Court, and same-sex marriage, which was fully legalized in June 2015. The Church also condemns embryo-destroying research and in vitro fertilization as immoral. The Church is allied with conservative evangelicals and other Protestants on these issues. However, the Catholic Church throughout its history has taken special concern for all vulnerable groups. This has led to progressive alliances, as well, with the Church championing causes such as a strong welfare state, unionization, immigration for those fleeing economic or political hardship, opposition to capital punishment, environmental stewardship, gun control, opposition and critical evaluation of modern warfare. The Catholic Church's teachings, coming from the perspective of a global church, do not conform easily to the American political binary of liberals and conservatives. American Catholics are in some cases at odds with church hierarchy on doctrinal issues of political importance.